Hello and welcome to Vlogmas Day 1, in which I tell you my overzealous December TBR and my attempts to actually read the 100 books that I had challenged myself to read this year. So I have literally 20 books on my TBR for this month, which means that I will not be able to tell you what they're actually about or anything like that. I'm kind of just gonna have to go through them, or this video is going to be half-hour long. However, I will say all but 4 of them I have already read or have already started and I'm currently reading. So the reason for that is because over the last 2 months I've been in a really nostalgic mood and just really wanted to reread stuff. I have not been in the mood to start anything new, and also I want simple, easy stuff to read, and most of the books that I've already read are actually middle grade, because it's my favorite classification, I guess. Middle grade and adult. Mostly adult fantasy and adult thriller, while I just enjoy middle grade generally speaking. So yeah, most of these are middle grade. Sorry if you don't like middle grade, and I guess you won't like the books that I read. I'm going to start off with the 4 books that I have not read before, which are all graphic novels, and then I'm going to go into my rereads, and then at the end I'll do the audiobooks I'm planning on listening to. So so the first book that I plan on reading, or graphic novel, is going to be Monstrous, which is the volume 3 Haven by Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda. This is volume 3. I read the first 2 in like 2018, kind of didn't want to read this one until I got the 4th one, and then totally forgot about it, and now the 5th one's coming out, so I need to read this so that I can get the other 2. The next 3, which is the last of the ones that I haven't read before, are the first 3 volumes in Lock and Key by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. These, I got all of 3 of these for Christmas last year from my brother, and I ended up not taking any books back with me to school, so these just ended up staying here. And now I get to finally read them, and I think that now, since it's been literally almost exactly a year since I've gotten them, I think it's a good time. So these will be nice. Now on to the rereads that I'm going to be reading, and I'm just going to be pulling them off as they're stacked. These aren't going to be in any specific order. So the first one is going to be The Night Before Christmas by Nikolai Gogol. It's this really cute edition. It's very short. This will not take me more than a couple of hours to read, if that. And it's also the only specifically Christmas themed book, I'm pretty sure, on my list. So yeah, this one's gonna be really cute. I think that I read this in 2018, or way before then actually. I think I read this in like 2015 or 16. So I don't remember anything about it. Next one is The Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. This is a really old edition. I'm probably not going to be reading it out of this one because it's kind of falling apart, but again, I read this when I was like 12 and I really enjoyed it. I haven't read it since, so let's see if I still like it. I'm assuming you know what The Wizard of Oz is about, so I'm not even going to bother telling you anything about it. Sorry. I have 2 editions of this one and I don't know which one I'm going to be reading them out of, so I'm just going to use them both for this. And it is Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. I really love Alice in Wonderland. I love the aesthetic of it, the atmosphere of it, not necessarily the story itself, but I love the feeling I get when I watch or read something Alice in Wonderland related. So yeah, these will be one of, not sure which one I'll read out of. Probably this one. I haven't read out of this one yet though, so we'll see. Again, I'm assuming you know what Alice in Wonderland is about, so I'm not going to tell you anything about this one. Next 3 are graphic novels because they were underneath the others, and it is going to be the first 3 books in the Amulet series by Kazu Kibuishi. I think this one is actually book 2, so yeah, it goes that one, and that one. This one. But anyway, this one is about a girl and her brother that find this weird amulet in their like great uncle's house, and then they end up having to go to a different world and find their mom, and some weird stuff ensues, and I'm not gonna get into it because obviously I don't have time. But I read these my senior year of high school, the year before the final 9th one, possibly final 9th one. There might be a 10th one coming out. I really have no idea. And I have never reread any of them, so that's going to be fun. These are the 3 that I'm planning on rereading, but I may end up reading more than this. I have no idea. So this book is my favorite book of all time, and it comes as a surprise to nobody that I will be rereading Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. I love this book. It's my favorite book. If you don't know what Howl's Moving Castle is about, it's about a woman named Sophie who gets turned into an old woman and has to live in Howl's castle, and Howl is known for eating young women's hearts. So it's very fun, very fantasy-esque. It's my favorite book of all time. I reread it several times a year. I don't think I've read it this year yet though, actually. So this is gonna be pretty fun. One of my friends is reading it right now, and it's super fun to like have her just message me randomly and be screaming, because I've hyped this book up a lot for her, unfortunately, probably for me later on. But I really love this book, and I'm really excited to get reading. The next book is actually a book that I'll probably be listening to the audiobook of along with reading it, and it is The Search for Wendla by Tony DiTerlizzi. He's also the illustrator. This is a pretty thick book, but it's pretty fun. It's a sci-fi about a girl who lives underground her entire life, ends up being thrust back onto the surface, and everything she's ever learned about the surface is wrong. So now she has to figure out what's going on and why she's being hunted by the person that forced her up into the surface. It's a very long book, but it's really weird and really cool and really interesting, and I really, really enjoy it. So the next one is actually kind of a sad one, but in a happy way, and it is Wonder by R.J. Palacio, or Palacio. I don't actually know how you're supposed to say her name. This one's about a little boy named Augie who has a facial deformity and has been homeschooled his entire life and is now going, I think, into 5th grade in a real school, and his struggles with all of that. It's very, very sweet, very, very cute. I think I've reread this once. I'm not entirely sure, but I read it the first time when the year it came out, and I don't even know when that was. But I really love this book. I think it's really, really cute. It's a very fast read. I'll probably read this in a day, maybe 2. So next one is also a super short book that will probably only take me a day to read, and it is Bob by Wendy Mass and Rebecca Steed, and the illustrations are done by Nicholas Gannon. This is a story about a girl who finds a goblin in her aunt or grandmother's closet that knows her. She has no memory of him, and now they have to figure out who Bob is and why he was there and where he came from. And it's very short, very sweet, very, very cute. I read this out loud to my roommate when I first got it, and we both absolutely loved it. And it took us 3 days to read out loud while we were doing schoolwork in the art building. It was so cute and so fun. So, second to last book that I have that is physical is The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. This is a book about a boy named Bod who lives in a cemetery, and really that's all I can tell you, because the rest of it is really weird and hard to explain. It's kind of like, I would say, a Ghibli film. It's hard to explain to somebody who's never read it, never seen them before. So it's kind of the same way for me. This is the first Neil Gaiman book I ever read, and I absolutely loved it. I think I've reread this book twice. I'm not entirely sure, but it's been a while since I reread it, and I missed it. It's a wonderful, wonderful read. Very creepy, very weird. If you don't like creepy, not even super creepy, but just creepy, weird stories, I really wouldn't recommend it. Though I really wouldn't recommend any Neil Gaiman book if you weren't into that kind of thing. And my last physical book is going to be Nightmares by Jason Segel and Kristen Miller. And this is illustrated by Carl Kwasny. This is about a little boy who is having terrible, terrible nightmares. Turns out that his friends are also having horrible nightmares, and none of them can sleep. Now they have to figure out why they're having horrible nightmares and how to stop it, as well as him trying to come to terms with the fact that he has a new stepmom. It's very cute. It's very weird, if I remember correctly. I've never reread this book, but it is my favorite book of the trilogy. In fact, I really don't think that there needed to be 2 more books. Second one was okay. I didn't really like the third one at all, but yeah. This one is going to be fun. I haven't reread it before, so that's nice. And then the last 2 books that I will be reading purely audiobook-wise, one is a reread, and it is The Outsider by Neil Gaiman, by Stephen King. I almost got his name wrong. I'm going to try to put a picture of it on the screen, but it is a horror book. It's about a kid that gets killed, and the person that they know for a fact killed him wasn't there the day that he was killed. He was in a completely different place, but he was also there when the kid was killed because multiple people saw them together. So it's basically like a weird mystery cop kind of story. I have reread it, or I have read half of it once before, and I originally was doing a rereadathon, and one of the prompts was to try to reread and finish a DNF, an old DNF. And this one was a DNF. I only got about 50% of the way in and I got really bored. So I'm going to try to get past where I was, and if I enjoy it more than I did before, then I'm going to try to finish it. If not, then I'm going to just nix it, and if I do, oh well. And the last book that I'm planning on reading is actually a book that I've been reading since August, and it is Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. This one is a dystopian book about objectivism and politics and the government taking too much power away from companies and their own legislation and stuff like that. So it's very political. I think it's fascinating. I think it's very interesting. A lot of people don't like it because it's really dense and there's a lot of monologues, but the monologues make sense to me because it's supposed to be people talking about their own experiences, about what's going on and stuff. I will say that it gets a little bit much sometimes, but generally speaking, I enjoy it. That is all the books that I plan on reading in December, and that is 20 books, if not more, if I decide to read more or the other graphic novels in the Amulet series. We'll see. But anyway, that was a lot of books. I'm trying to keep this video under 15 minutes just because that's all the video, that's all I got. I hope my camera doesn't crash again. But anyway, I will see you all later. Have a good evening, good day, or good morning, depending on your time zone. And I will see you later. Bye.